New product specifications and innovator's perspective by Mr. P. Narasimha garu. I request our chairman, Ganesh garu, to give the welcome address.
Okay. Thank you, Namaste Garu. First of all, very good morning to all the members. Wish you all very happy and prosperous New Year 2022. So I'm happy to mention that today we are conducting 88th webinar of this knowledge sharing session we have been conducting. So in these 2 years, so this is the second year we have entered in. So I welcome today's speaker, Sri P. Narasimha Rao Garu, retired scientist G, DLRL, DRDO organization. So he's a very experienced member, very senior scientist. Already he has served to IETA by way of webinars and other ways. I also welcome corporate members, participants, and all the students and faculty members for this 80th webinar we are conducting. Today, Narasimha sir has chosen a very good topic and very interesting topic. That is,
Good morning, everyone.
yeah, good morning, sir. Good morning, Ramarao Garu. Welcome, you, sir. So this is a new product specifications. Yes, sir. Happy New Year to all the members, sir. So today, sir has chosen a new product specifications and innovative perspective. You know about the product specification, that is so interesting that and very important when you choose any product before buying or to know the performance of any equipment. So knowing the specifications is very important. To know the specifications, having the thorough knowledge in the technical aspects of related to that particular area is also equally important. I think I request all the students before buying, and the new fresh engineers also, before buying any product, it may be right from the radio to radio, TV, or to any other product, you have to first see the specifications, what exactly the technical specifications inside the backside of the brochure they have mentioned. If you understand the technical specifications, then you are understanding about the performance of the equipment. So that is very important. Sir is a very senior scientist. He knows is having thorough knowledge about these things. I think sir will explain about knowing the product specifications also, and also at the same time when the new product is designed, what specifications are to be met also. I think he is going to explain to you very nicely. I thank you very much, Narasimha Rao Garu, for coming forward for presenting this very interesting topic on behalf of all our IET Hyderabad Center. I thank you very much, sir, and welcome you to this welcome you to this webinar. Thank you all. Thank you all the participants once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your nice welcome address. And as you're all aware, our IET Hyderabad Center continuously conducting the various activities, technical activities for the last 1.5 years. And almost our term is going to end next 6 months. And thank you all for your kind cooperation and participation. Without you, we cannot be able to conduct such a type of events very nicely and regularly. So I thank all of you once again, all the IET members, those who are participating, and also making each and every program a grand success. And coming to the 7th and 8th, we are going to conduct a 2-day technical symposium on latest technological trends in ECE in association with MVS Engineering College along with IETE. And 7th, we are conducting at MVS, the venue was. And 8th, we are conducting the venue at IET Hyderabad. It's a 2-day event, and we are conducting 2 days, various venues. So first day at MVS Engineering College, and the second day at IET Hyderabad Center. We will send the poster also, and I think we have participation for this one also, and make it grand success. We are calling eminent personalities for this various sessions we are given to various eminent personalities, and the program sheet and everything we are going to circulate today or tomorrow. So kindly participate more in number for that also. And also request maximum please circulate to the student members of ISF and kindly ask them to register. So our IIT Hyderabad Center is the second largest center in India, and which are having 63 centers, and we're continuously doing various activities. And last year also we adjudged as Best Center Award in all over India. And I hope that definitely with your encouragement, still we can be able to improve more and more activities in our IT Hyderabad Center. Now I request Sanjay Madam join.
Sir, not answering, sir. Please read from you, sir. I asked Ashwin sir also. It takes
Please.
time to read.
Ramara garu ఉందా? You give to
సార్
Ramara.
ఓకే థ్యాంక్స్ సార్ మీరు చదవచ్చు కదా సార్
బయోడేటా లేదు కదా నాది బయోడేటా
మీకు ఫార్వర్డ్ పంపించిన ఇప్పుడే చేసిన వాట్సాప్ చేసిన
So I'm happy to read out the profile of today's speaker, Sri P. Narasimha garu. Sri P. Narasimha garu attained MSc Technology, MSc Tech degree in Applied Physics, specialization in electronics in the year 1997 from Andhra University, Visakhapatnam. He joined DRDO in the year 1979 at Defense Electronics Laboratory and Dehradun, and moved to Defense Electronics Research Laboratory, Hyderabad in the year 1984. He has been serving DRDO in various capacities and contributed to the design and development of electronic subsystems and also systems for major defense projects, programs during 36 years of government service and experience. Narasimha has had a stake and worked for the several major and present programs including IGMDP, Samyukta, and AEW and C and of DRDO. He has received commendation certificate and technology group awards for his works on various projects and products delivered to users. He has a rich and outstanding experience in the field of electronics and communications, electronics warfare is a core discipline. He works on secure and secret communications have received a very good appreciation at various national level seminars and technical conventions. He showed his efficiency also in the project management, quality and reliability. Mr. P. Narasimha is a fellow and chartered engineer of IET. He is one of the among few internationally certified senior project management professionals in India. He is also certified reliability professional and also is a life member of other professional bodies like Indian Science Congress Association, Society for EMC Engineers, and Instrument Society of India. He has authored 2 books entitled Product Research and Innovation Made Easy, Time to Make It in India, and The Realism of Life. Mr. P. Narasimha is now freelancer consultant for young entrepreneurs and is promoting the cause of indigenous product development. He is also empaneled with NIMSME as adjunct visiting faculty and also with BYST, Bharatiya Yuva Shakti Trust, as a member nurturing the startup entrepreneurs. Thank you, sir, for your accepting for this today's webinar, and I request you kindly proceed to deliver your seminar.
Thank you, Jnanadhar Garu and Namaste Garu. Thank you for. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir. It's audible.
Thank you very much for choosing me to kickstart the knowledge sharing session series of this 2022 by giving an opportunity to deliver the first lecture. And I have chosen the topic as because it is new year. I thought I will start with the new product specifications. Product specifications, anyway, we are aware of. We hear from vendors, from marketing people, from designers, different people specify products with the different perspective. So what I have chosen is from the product innovator point of view, what is the perception that I am going to present this in my talk. I think my screen is visible to everyone. My screen is visible. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
Please proceed, sir.
Please go ahead, sir.
See, generally, whenever you talk of a product, we generally speak of its features only. In the terms of vouchers or catalogs, not many specifications are given, and from the very features they are mainly meant for attracting the customer to generate some interest on the product, particularly from the marketing point of view. Then, if you go to the more technical means, you will give a technical manual or operating manual, whatever it may be. You will touch the peripheral specifications of the thing. Probably in troubleshooting guide, he may give what and what not, cause and effect, some relation. So, any documentation provided with the product in terms of brochure or like the equipment, it is always incomplete. But as an innovator, you have to see the specifications understanding should be done in different perspective of the different stakeholders' point of view. Generally, product means a product is to meet some requirement. It is a problem-solving exercise. Product innovation is basically a problem-solving exercise, and for that you have to identify the problem. What is the problem? It is a requirement from the customer. It is a requirement from the situation. What is to be developed? These requirements and specifications, they are generally referred interchangeably in the product. But requirements are the expectations of the different stakeholders. They are expectations of the different stakeholders that need to be met by the product. So these expectations, all these actions should be met by the product. Requirements, they form the basis for the design and development of the new product. Generally, if you see, there have a broadly, you can say that there will be customer requirements, there will be operational requirements, and there will be product requirements, which we are going to see in the following lecture. Coming to the specifications, the specifications are a set of tangible parameters or features. Tangible, when I use the word tangible, they are measurable parameters. Okay, by measuring or by examining the specification, you can say that whether the product is met or not. So specifications are the set of tangible parameters or features targeted via the design of the product. How is the specifications are met? That is through the design only. So the specifications define a set of requirements and establish a benchmark that a product should meet or excel. So by seeing the specifications, this is the benchmark. Up to this product should meet. Otherwise, it can excel also. But specifications, they set the benchmark. Specifications of a product, they are defined as an outcome of analyzing the requirements of all the stakeholders. How do you analyze the specifications? You have to analyze the requirements of each and every stakeholder in the product innovation process, and specifications are the outcome of such analysis. Product innovators, whoever is designing, because the so-called technocrat or whatever it may be, he has to need to derive and negotiate the specifications of the product at different levels. Different levels means every product will have its own product life cycle, right from conceptual stage onwards to the end product stage, different levels. So at all stages, the specification should be understood by the product innovation in the first place. They can be descriptive or performance-based or reference standard or proprietary or combination of these also. Specifications can be of any type. There are two types of specifications, very important categories of specification. One is the product specification, and the second one is the product design specification. As far as the customer is concerned, he is bothered only about the product specifications, and if the innovator comes, who has to build the product, he is more concerned about the more careful about the product design specification. So the broad difference is while the product specification specifies the overall specifications of the product design specification says that specifically how the product has to be designed to meet those product specifications. That is the difference between the product specifications and the product design specifications. So generally in this knowledge sharing session, what I am planning to do is that while sharing some definitions, we will be explaining and capturing the analysis of various requirements, deriving the specification for a new product involving the R&D realization. And I am going to emphasize on what are the general considerations, and I will give an example at the end, some communication example for easy understanding of the difference between the product specification and product specification, and what are the different steps to create, bring quality into, and finally completing the specification in the new product innovation. First of all, we should understand the ecosystem of the product innovation. Any product, when it comes, when the innovation takes place, innovation means right from the concept idea to the final product stage. There are so many, it has to undergo, it it is covered in the ecosystem with so many stakeholders. If you look at it, first of all, we are having the product sponsor. That fellow is a very important fellow because he has to finalize the product, he has to fund the development and research and innovation. And the product sponsor can be a private industry fellow, or if it is a government, the head of the laboratory or the sanctioning authority will be the product sponsor, and he will be financing the entire product innovation process. And second important fellow is on the other side is the product innovator. He has to apply his brain, he has to think a lot in taking the product innovation right from the concept stage to the idea to product production. So other teams, if you look at it, product development, it needs a technology management, it needs design and development of people, and it has to consult academic institutions for its design and validating the design, and it should have a proper test and evaluation facilities or authorities to test the product at various stages, and finance people to support the product, to judicially support the product innovation process and to fund the product, and production and manufacturing people, that team, they have to transform the idea into the finished product by way of applying various production engineering and manufacturing techniques. And finally, there should be customers and end users to appreciate and to exploit the usage of the product. And there should be a marketing and sales team to act as an interface between the product, production product and the customers. Then you should have a quality assurance people to see how quality and the reliability of the product is met, whether it is really useful, safety point of view also. And you should have a standards people so that the product is following a specified standards, internationally agreed standards, so that replacement or revision can be easily possible. And regulatory bodies also, so that you are following the proper process and or not, proper design, selection of the proper material, everything. So they should set some guidelines under which you have to prepare. So preparation of the standards is done by the regulatory bodies. And finally, once the product is delivered, you should have your own people to maintain and support the product. For that, the product innovation should have certain degree of maintainability and supportability. So this is all the ecosystem under which a product is being innovated, and the product innovator should keep every and to keep satisfied, because these people are having different interests. All the stakeholders do not have a different interest, same interest. Ultimate interest is the product innovation, but they look at the product innovation process with a different perspective. So the product innovator should take care of the design and development of the product to meet all the requirements. Accordingly, he has to derive the specifications of the product to meet the ultimate goal of this ultimate meeting the ultimate requirements of the all products. So if you look at the stakeholders' demands and expectations, they are different. One is if you look at the sponsor, he is worried about the product innovation only, and he is bothered that this product should be realized without any time and cost for us, because he is holding the responsibility of taking up the development and releasing the product within a given time and given budget. He is more worried about the realization of the product without any time and cost over us. If you come to the manufacturer, he wants to produce the product to be economical way, so that his profits will be more. So he is more concerned about the production cost and how economically it is produced. That is where he is look at the product innovation. Coming to the product designer, he is concerned with the design, and he thinks that he is worried about his design should work, meeting all the functionality requirements and specifications. No designer wants to ask a waiver for the specification set for it. So he thinks that his design should work meeting all this. That is the designer's perception. If you look at the quality assurance people, any authorities, whether it is government or private, they are focused on how reliability is built into the product and how reliable the product performs in its intended operation for the operation life. They are worried that the product should work qualitatively up to the mark in the intended environment and in its operation. If it doesn't work in the other stage environment, they are not bothered. As long as the intended environment it is operating, if it is throughout its operation life, the product is working with this performance, they are happy. Coming to the inspection department, they are more like a police people. They view the design of all the products and consistent level from the testability point of view. Okay, he's saying that this is the performance of the product, and how do you test it? So for testing, they are worried about the parameters. So when you specify some specification, you should always think of how it can be tested and validated. So the inspection department is to validate the specification. So they are worried about the product from the testability point of view. As far as the marketing people are concerned, they are not bothered into the technical details. They have to sell this product. So what they want to say, you be at the earliest some working model of the product so that I can demonstrate to people to bring the awareness in the product and they can bring the sales process they can initiate. Coming to the purchaser looks at the price and the utility. Utility is okay, but what is the price? Whether this price is worth for the utility it is providing, that is more a worrying factor for the purchaser if you have to decide to think about it. So price and utility both are very concerned by the purchaser. Finally, the end user, I have purchased this equipment, how to use it, whether it is really useful or not. That is more concern for the end user. Why I am saying is the purchaser can be of different people. Purchaser means suppose if you take a distributor or a dealer, he sees that the product is having market value, whether I can distribute it and sell it. I can earn a profit. That is the purchaser. Whereas the end user is the ultimate customer. He is more concerned about, he is not bothered about the dealer's commission or designer's pains and all these things, but whether it can be useful to his, that is the more concern about the end user. And if you ask the maintenance people, they focus how well the product can be maintained. So the product should be easily accessible, easily diagnosable, easily serviceable. So like this, the list of the stakeholder demands and the expectations, different stakeholders will have different demands. And it is, I have given the list only as an indicator, but it is not exhaustive. So these stakeholder needs vary from one another, and the product designer's job is to incorporate all these needs into the design. That is the designer's perspective. Coming to the requirements and specifications, requirement specifications, as I told you, they are used interchangeably, but there is a difference. Requirements and specifications. Requirements are the expectations of the different stakeholders that need to be met by the product. As I said, they require customer requirements, operational requirements, and production requirements. These requirements, they do change as the understanding needs get better. By understanding needs get better means you initially pursue some parameter. So you think of the any communication set. So he says that initially the requirement is I have to have some communication. But he says that no, if it is a handheld, it will be more useful. So the requirement has changed that from a standard desktop, benchtop equipment, you want a portable equipment. From that, and he says that no, I am not able to have electricity everywhere. It should be operating with battery. Then he says that no, it should be operated with battery. Like that, as he uses the equipment, his understanding, his demands will go. Sometimes, the requirements do change as the understanding of the need gets better. So before you say establishing an initial set of the requirements, so one is to understand the problem which the product is trying to solve. That is very important. So actually, product innovation is nothing other than a problem-solving exercise. Based on the need, you have to invent new things. Necessity is the mother of invention. So that philosophy goes like this. Whereas the specifications, as I said, they are set of tangible parameters. Tangible means measurable parameters or features targeted by the design of the product. As I said, there are two different types of specifications, distinct types of specifications, product specification and product design specifications. And while you are doing the specification, what you have to keep in mind is that you should understand the context, because the product development process is a problem-solving exercise. You should understand the context, and at the same time, that context understanding should be from the end-to-end traceability. Requirement to specification. One requirement to this is the requirement. Other requirement, this specification is going to meet. Like that, the end-to-end traceability should be there. So context means how the interaction between the product and its associated entities, such as operators, designers, developers, inspectors, and associated products take place. The interaction is very important, that you should understand the context. Similarly, end-to-end traceability, the requirement traceability It is the ability to link every requirement to the three related items of the customer needs and likes, system elements that realize. So, if you see the customer needs, customer likes, and to meet those needs and likes of the customer, what are the system elements that need to be realized? That is the you have to link every requirement to this. Understanding the context is very important for achieving end-to-end traceability of the product innovation, meeting its marketing and business goals. It is not only the product innovation, it should meet the marketing and business goals. Otherwise, the product will not survive into the market. If you look at how this interaction takes place between, first it starts with the customer. You have some customer comes to you with some requirements, or you identify some, you perceive some requirements for a specific customers. These customers' requirements, they originate from the customer, but they are supplemented by the marketing requirements as well as the operational requirements. Then once you finalize the requirements, you should think over the capabilities of the product that should be built into. So those capabilities also, you should take what are the functional capabilities, what are the operational capabilities, depending on the environment. You develop a set of capabilities that product is going to meet. Those capabilities only, we generally call it the features. Okay. From these requirements and capabilities, keeping these things in view, you arrive an initial set of specifications. These specifications are physical specifications, mechanical specifications, technical specifications, and the environmental specifications. So, while finalizing specification, we purely look into technical aspects and tangible parameters only. Marketing and other these things, though they are taken into the capabilities only, from those capabilities and requirements only, we will derive and build in these specifications. When once the specifications are finalized, that means a specification document is prepared, then you go into the design. And we are focusing on how to finalize these specifications with an example. And if you go further, it goes into the design. The design will be again having two elements. One is software and the other is hardware part. And finalizing both these parts, you go for the design development. The development is a process involving the inputs. One is the components of raw material, and second is the process, and the outcome is the development. When once you have developed, you will be developing at the different levels, releasing the product. So you should go for integration testing. So that takes place in development takes place, as I said, it should be components level. After integrating and testing the component level, you go to the design level. And once all the design devices are prepared, produced, you will integrate them and test it, and then you go for the subsystem level. Once all the subsystems are realized, you go for the integration testing at the system level. And once the system level is ready, then you are going to implement it. You go for the implementation. Of course, implementation, you have to develop different models initially to start with the proto model, then some engineering model, qualifying model, trial model, and production model. These are all the different types of models which you have to build during the product realization that comes under the design and development. So, as I said, you have to channel the requirements to extract the butter. So, churning the requirements includes the customer requirements, operational requirements, and the product requirements. Customer requirements means what the customer wants. As I said, customers' needs. Customers do have two types of requirements. One is need to have, other is nice to have. You should have a judicial judgment which your customer is more. You should concentrate more on the need to have type of requirements. And coming to different customers may have different requirements. You have to take and consult and list out all the requirements, and you should consolidate a requirement document. That is generally in software also we call it as SRS, requirement specification document software. So they talk only about the requirement. They don't talk of the how you are going to do that. He says that this is my requirement. I am not bothered what is inside your black box. And this product should meet this specification. Second is the operational requirements. Operational requirements in the sense, what is the environment it should operate? It can be environmental specifications, like operational environment is it has to work under cold conditions, or it has to work under desert conditions, it has to work under space conditions, or it has to work for the roadability. or it has to work for the airborne equipment, or like that. So different operational requirements. Or sometimes they say that I should require quick reactions time should be more. I need high power. Different types of operational requirements will be there, and you have to consult and finalize all the requirements, keeping the operational requirements also into point of view. Another thing is the product requirement. Ultimately, what is the product should meet, those are to be kept in mind. Otherwise, these requirements, unless they turn into the product, and product requirements is, that is the producibility, manufacturability, maintainability, all these things, marketability, these are all the product requirements, because ultimately, unless these requirements are met, the product will not go into the market, and the very purpose of product innovation is will become null and void if the product doesn't meet its product requirements. So, finalizing the requirements. Why we have to finalize the requirements is it pays to finalize the requirements if it is in the early in the requirement capture stage, because requirements as I said they do change. So it is best to congregate as much information from many stakeholders early in the requirements capture process itself. We should cater for all sorts of requirements, different stakeholders. And it is important to specify both the functional as well as the non-functional requirements also. Non-functional requirements means how you are going to store, what are the storage precautions, what is the maintainability of life, what is the period warranty. These are all the non-functional requirements. Whereas functional requirements is the equipment should perform this function. So both you have to specify. Another thing is that you have to evaluate requirements in the early stage itself from the testability point of view. Whenever you evaluate the requirements, these requirements it can be tested like this. Okay, this communication link should work for 10 meters. How do you test it? You hold the equipment, you move aside, then talk. So you should have all these things. You should have the easily testability point of view like that. You should think of how you are going to test these requirements, to evaluate these requirements. Similarly, keeping track of all the requirements, how they impact other functional capabilities is necessary to deliver successful product. Why I said that keeping track of all requirements means in communication itself, if you go to the user and he will ask, so what you want? No, I say my communication equipment should travel more than 10 kilometers. But only thing is that I cannot give a pocket full. That won't work. Because the amount of long range means it requires larger power to be transmitted. When the equipment has to transfer a larger power, the equipment size will be more. So every parameter will have a constraint on design. So there should not be any contradicting requirements. If somebody, different vendors are different stakeholders pose different contradicting requirements, that you should not agree for it. That is not only for the requirement. Depending on the technology, you cannot agree to realize your product sponsor that this can be realized within this month. You have seen the case of covaxin, The problem has piled up. There is an urgent requirement. Every country is doing its own this thing. But they have taken specific time. They have not committed on any date till they have finally comfortable and tested the vaccine. So like that, practically you should not have a always you should think that any functional capability should not impact the other functional capabilities to deliver a successful product, because ultimately you have to deliver a successful product. Thus, the final set of requirements is a combination of the initial high-level system requirements and also the requirements derived during the design, development, and technical process. So, initial high-level requirements, and at the same time, on floor or on factory, what are the type of changes they are going to take place? Requirements do change, and you have to take cognizance of all these requirements. Coming to the deriving the specifications, yes, once you finalize the requirement, you should see, as I told, one-to-one traceability, the specifications have to be derived. Requirements, they define a product, what it should do and how it should do it, but not how it should be realized. They say that what it should do and at the same time how it should do it, performance point of view. Whereas how it should be realized is the product innovator. So for that, the product innovator needs to derive the specifications to suggest this. These specifications can be descriptive specifications. What description means, there will not be any parameters or measurable parameters. He says that no, I want a communication link to talk to my people. That is a descriptive specification. Coming to the performance specifications, no, I want this function to be met with this level of performance. I should be able to talk to my people who are at remote places, maybe 100 kilometers. Otherwise, no, they are not visible to me. Even then, I have to talk. What is the mechanism? So the performance, how it should perform and what level it should perform, that is the performance specification. Reference standard specification is that you cannot have your own specification. So what is the standard it should meet? That is one important specification to be kept in mind. You have a wonderful idea and you generate a big equipment. Finally, it won't work in DC DC supply provided in the aircraft. It won't meet the aircraft requirements. So, what are the reference standards? Whether you require a AS110 or mil standard or JSS Pentapai standard, what are you know that standard specification? That standard should be. And similar, this thing is non-restrictive specification. What are the non-restrictive specifications? Non-restrictive specification is there is nobody putting the restriction on your specification. See, suppose I want this type of memory. He is not bothered even if you go for a floppy disk. That is technical answer. As long as you give the floppy disk, he is happy. Whether it is a floppy disk is the storage media or what is that? Or CD or flash, whatever it may be, that memory storage, non-restricted specification, as long as you are meeting the storage requirements, it is okay for him. He is not putting any restriction. Whereas proprietary specification is no, I want only this. No, I want only HP mail printer, I say. You don't look into it. Though the printer is different printers are all different, people can make it. He is bothered about the proprietary specification of his own reasons because it has been standardized, or he may be having his own comfort in working with this specification with various items. So, like that, of course, under proprietary specification, there are open specifications as well as the closed specifications. Open specifications, he can say that this particular make or equivalent can be used, it is an open specification. If somebody says that only you have to use this particular makeup component of the specification with the part number, this is a closed specification. But initially in the design, you should have all open specifications. When once the final sign-off document is made on the specifications, every specification should be closed. Otherwise, you cannot progress in the product development. At one stage or other, all specifications have to be closed. Coming to the product specification versus product design specifications, as I told, in its simplest understanding, product specification will tell what the product does. And the product design specification tell how the product does it. What the product does is the product specification, and how the product does it is the product design specification. So, PDS, product design specification, is a specification of what is required to build a product, but not the specification of the product itself. So, PDS specifies all the subsystems or components of the specifications of those things which are required to build the product. Overall product actually doesn't speak. I will give in some example. I will following. I am giving one example. And the product specifications describe the actual product after it is built. Product specification comes into the picture are applicable only once the product is built. Whereas the product design specifications, they are right from the design and development. Every component or every subassembly or every subsystem, it will have its own input-output specifications which is to be met. So PDS is right in the design stage and the development stage, whereas the product specification comes only after comes to discuss the actual product after it is built. When the customer and the marketing personnel are thorough with the PS, the design team should be thorough with the PDS. Customer is he should clearly understand the product specification. At the same time, marketing people also should understand the product specifications as a product itself. Whereas the design team should be very, very thorough with the product design specifications of each and every component or subsystem it is going to use as a building block to realize the ultimate product. These technocrats who take a product for innovating or realizing new product, they should be thorough with both the PS as well as the PDS. So the product innovator or technocrat who is there, he has to take care of the product, he has to take care of the entire product life cycle. He should be thorough with both the product specifications and the product design specifications, and striking a balance between the PS and PDS. Okay, that will cut down the costs before and after the product is shipped out of the workplace. That is very important. During the development also, the development cost, the realization cost also will be cut down if you have a proper balance between the product specification, and at the same time, when once it has shipped out of the workplace also, that is for the when it goes to the customer also, the cost will be cut down if the product owner understands the product specification, product specification, and works out a balance between that during its realization. So product specification will provide a set of guidelines that a finished product will be tested against. Product specification is important in the sense that it's a testability point of view. The product specification should be, they will provide a test of guidelines for the inspection people. See, the primary benefit of writing a product specification is, why you write the product specification is to ensure everyone in the stakeholders, the factors. See, I have considered all the factors. These are the trade-offs, and this is expected out of the product. Sometimes when you make the project proposal or product proposal, you should appreciate the customers as well as the stakeholders like your sponsors and financial people to get an approval for the product project to go ahead itself. You require the product specification should be made them clear because they should understand that the product is going to do some purpose it is intended. So define the detailed product specifications. They allow the stakeholders to visualize the finished product in terms of functionality and identity, and even before the real effort. Real effort means they have to put time and money to the development. Before that itself, they will appreciate the ins and outs of the specific ins and outs of the product in the market. So finalizing the product specification is very, very, very important in the product innovation process. Coming to the product design specification, these are mostly specific. They bother only about the only the design people. See, this product design specification is a statement of an identified list of critical parameters. I am saying these critical parameters and specification, they have to be measurable. So, what are all the critical parameters to be listed out and specifications, requirements? These will become the statement of the product design specification. The aim is to ensure the subsequent design and development of the product meets its end needs. So initially you have set up initial requirements, then based on that you have finalized the critical parameters, specifications, then for the product you are going to implement to the subsequent design and the development. So generation of the product design specification is the most important and yet one of the least understood by the product owners. So what happens is, everybody after seeing the product specification, they are happy and though the PDS they ignore, we'll first let the product sanction come and say, then we will do it afterwards. So that is not the correct way. So you should understand from the beginning itself the PDS. That is very important. So the PDS, the product design specification, acts as an initial boundary. They put some constraints, so that constraints you should know. So initial boundary in the development of the products and bridges the gap between the product specification and the product design. So product design specification acts as an interface between the product specification and the product design. And product design and performance issues. So many products you have to design should consider all these requirements like the quality standard requirements, size and weight, aesthetics, what are the ergonomics requirements, and design operator or user interfaces or user features, what user requires, and what are the performance requirements, what is the usage pattern and usability, what are the product safety and reliability requirements, what is the service and operating environment, how the maintenance and maintainability has to be met, how the testability. So these are all different customers or stakeholders will have these are all, and the product owner should address all the performance related issues listed in this. So coming to the deriving the specifications, we are having total four major steps, and one is the assessing the general considerations, creating the specifications, adding Six Sigma flavor, completing the specifications, and documenting the specifications. Why given step 4 for documenting specification is it should be immediately followed after completing the specification. Otherwise, unless the documentation is done, you cannot say that the specification is complete. Coming to the assessing the general considerations, the design group should assess all the general considerations of the product to identify an open and closed specifications meeting the requirement. Open means that will allow them to be think wide. Well, there are no boundaries for initial thinking. So decide the open specification. When it comes to the open specifications are closed, you should think about it. Product specifications always should be kept open. As a product, any customer gives, it should have kept open. So those should have some upgradability. But when it comes to the design specification, they have to be closed. When once the design specifications are finalized, it should sign off, means that should not be touched. Product specification should be kept open. If it is possible, you will try to incorporate it. Otherwise, you will say that we will change the next verse. Otherwise, you will never improve the product. So product specification should be always kept open, and the product design specification should be closed. If you open the product design specification, what will happen? Every specification you are going to accept and you are going to do modification, you are going to take more time. It will lead to the product cost and time overruns. And another important thing is that determine the essentiality specifications. They may give any specification, whether why specification is essential, what it is intended purpose, what it is going to serve, what is the essential. Can I have the specification? Why you should be very strict about the specifications. So in the sense, here I will give one example which is common to the three types of customers for scientific research. See, one is our defense or R&D, government-funded R&D. Second is the private-funded R&D like small and MSME enterprises. And third is the colleges. You take the case of a spectrum analyzer or oscilloscope or whatever it is. The colleges, they used to go for a scientific hammock or some equipment which is cheap, because the main purpose of this thing is to educate their students on the waveform generation, how the waveform looks like this, or how the spectrum looks like. So they will be having every unit will have its own oscillator, clock. And similarly, you go for the industry, they will also have some spectrum analyzer. And if you go to my DRDO, we are having fantastic spectrum analysis up to specifications up to nano hertz. And whereas for the college, they are having the resolution of only of hertz, like that. Okay. Industry will have in between. Why they do like this is, for their purpose, the specification is, the so-called clock resolution is enough. So for having a better specification is always good, but they are going to pay a very heavy penalty in terms of price. So for our purpose, what is the essentiality of specifications? What is the essentiality of the resolution? When hertz is enough, or even kilohertz is enough, or we should go for better specifications. That is very important. So these specifications, they are going to put an impact. Unless you assess the essentiality specifications, you will not be able to judge the tolerances, and you are not going to judge the process, and which is going to pay very heavy. So first of all, you should determine the essentiality of the. I give only one example. You should consider the essentiality of each and every specification, so that your design will be economic as well as economic. The step 2 is the creating the specifications. Creating the specification means you have to generate a technical specification document that defines the set of requirements. So in creating the specifications and documenting specifications, a product does not meet all these express requirements is referred to be an out of specification. If I listed out specifications, the product should meet all the specifications. Even if it is not met to one specification also, it is set to be out of specification. It is rejected. So the creating the specification is a very important phase, because based on that only you are going to judge whether the product is meeting or not, whether the product is worth using or it should be rejected or whatever it may be by the inspection people. So decide the acceptable dimensions and weight of the product. So just like that, don't come, no, my item will be less than 10 kgs. No, you should, first of all, you should consider all these parameters after the design is over. You should take all the feather measurement, you should see the electrical packaging, how it can be done and all these things. Then only you should accept the dimensions and the weight of the product you should specify. That is very important, because there are so many cases, military units have refused the product, though it is functionally fantastic and all these things. It is overweight and they could not accommodate the budget and power budget and weight budget. They have rejected the, there are several occasions. Similarly, you have to specify the full range of environmental conditions under which the product will operate. Full range, not only what are the stress conditions, impact analysis, dynamic stresses, climatic stresses, and all these things. You should specify the full range of specifications under which the product would operate and under which the product would test. And similarly, you have to place the tolerances of the performance. Never say that it will perform this way. You don't say that it will reach 1 kilometer. That is not correct. You should always say some tolerance. So 1 kilometer plus minus 100 meters, it will work. So some tolerance should be always put. Otherwise, there is a chances that the product will get rejected. And you should always establish a third-party workmanship standards and safety standards. Why I say third-party workmanship standards means, you will not have infrastructure to develop each and every component, which is required to build. Sometimes you may have to depend on some other working partner or some other technology group or for that matter, some other vendor also. So you should always say that you should have a third-party workmanship. No, I want only meeting the CCITT standards, or I want only the mill-grade components, or I want only the space-grade components. Some specifications you should establish always the third party. When you are giving work outside, you should establish the standards. That is very important to specify. Otherwise, he will give the product. He will say that no, you are not giving any standards. My product will meet this requirement only. Your R is there. You have to pay for it. Similarly, technical specifications, they are specific to the product and assembly. They should always, you should always specify. Suppose if you take the TV, you should give the resolution. You have to give the screen size, everything. You have to detail the which is specific to the product only. You need not even say other product. So by why specific to the product? Suppose as I said, if it is in the my screen size is this much. You should not put other kind sir, this should be viewed only in a big hall like this. That you cannot sir. You can talk of for specifications only relevant and specific to your product only. That is very important. Otherwise, nobody will say that no, sir, to accommodate my product, you should have this much of infrastructure. Nobody is willing to accept it. Similarly, you have to specify the life of the product or the assembly. You should always specify. Generally, we see the life of the product. The specification is very important. You take the case of drugs, suppose cough syrup is there. Children cough syrup. You just see that and you will find that it is having that expiry date is that much. But underline he says that to be consumed after 4 days of opening the bottle. So like that, if any specific conditions are there, you should specify the life also according to that. That should be very, very, very careful. Okay. So for that, you should work out the operation life or whatever life of the equipment and the equipment of the product. Again, only that drug only as an example. And adding Six Sigma flavor. Six Sigma flavor, you can see the diagram. In this, you should first understand your specific process with your company or your infrastructure support. And then you should specify you have to take the design margins and you specify that for each and every specification, this is the upper specification and this is the lower specification. If you don't do it, because of any process variations, any product, it will fall within this means it will get rejected. So you should have sufficient design margins. Six Sigma is nothing other than having a specification limit margin wider than the process. So the essence of Six Sigma lies in maintaining the process width, that is the variation of tolerance, centered around the target, that is the mean of the upper specification between the minor specification is much, that is 6 times less compared to the specification width. That is, in other words, for a given best possible minimization of the process width, because your constraints, your infrastructure, your capability, that decides the process width. So for a best given possible minimization of process width, the best way to achieve the Six Sigma is to increase the specification width by extending the range or tolerance on either side of the specification limit. This is adding the Six Sigma flavor to specifications and never specify, to give a specification should not be absolute. It should have a range of specification. That you should keep in mind. That range should be meeting the, having the Six Sigma flavor. Now completing the specifications, See, what are the steps I'm giving, you have to follow at all levels. That is one thing, component level, device level, subsystem level, system level. I'm taking only generic steps only I'm talking. So describe the type of the quality of product with the static capabilities, and then describe the requirements and fabrications and installations. So you should always say that, so sir, for me, you should have this much of fabrication. If I have to install this transformer, you should have this much of stage provided. These are the installation requirements and installation abilities. You should always specify. So the installation manual or installation manual you should generate. So include the user friendliness from the product, from the operator point of view, you should always include these are very essential for the product to be success. And you have to discuss the quality of workmanship and the reliability goals also. You can say that my reliability is this much. You give some figure that will give some confidence. We have to estimate. Similarly, what are the necessary codes and standards applicable for this product? You have to include in the specification, and descriptions and procedures for the testability, how you are going to test it. That also you should include in your specifications. I mean, say this is a measurable parameter, this is a proof, this is in the product, what happens, if you say that my clock is having this much of speed, how you are going to check the speed? Sir, if this is the speed, you can check by running the speed test. You are not going to open that component, show the clock. Okay? So like that, you should see the demonstration or measurable or inference or whatever it may be, direct measure or indirect measure, you should enjoy testability point of view also. You have to include. So protections also, you have to indicate what are the protections like alarms, indication, overload protection, underload protection, or powered battery low, like that, you should always, so with all these type of parameters only, the specifications are completed. And the step 5, which are numbered, the specifications are not complete unless and until it is properly documented and exercise proper control of the same by means of the following. You should assign a title and control number. Generally in defense we follow this, and you document the authority for any changes in specifications, and involve and make every concerned stakeholder party to agree and sign off. See, this is very, very important, When you make the initial specification document before take up for realization, you should take concerned stakeholder to be made a party by signing off. That is really important because stakeholders will do change, particularly in defense, the users will change because they are having regular coachings and all. And one user may, one particular officer says that no, previous officer has been not correct, I don't agree to. Then you will not have. So unless we have a specification document signed up with all the proper stakeholders, then it will be difficult. So that is you should make it a point. Then only, unless the specification document is signed up by each and every person, you are not completing the specifications. This is all theory part of it. What I wanted to speak about the deriving the specifications, product specifications. But I want to highlight one simple example of a communication link. What is the product specifications and what is the difference between product specification and product design specification? We just navigate through one simple example. It is another 5 minutes I'm going to take. And first of all, you should concentrate on the customer requirements. As I said, customer requirements are broad, generic, qualitative, and descriptive. So my customer is a defense. So I went to a defense person, defense people, army, and I asked them, he gives me a requirement, I want a communication between the commander and his forces. I say, they do not have communication. Why don't you provide some communication? Yes, I have taken up the tag. But that requirement to where it will lead, it has given only an indication broadly told the descriptive he wanted communication between his commander and his forces. So it is the designer's job and interest. You should find out what are all the parameters needed. So you should probe into the requirements saying that, sir, very good, you tell me what type of communication. You want a static communication or mobile communication? Or you want a mobile but static while in operation, or different scenarios, what is the operation mobility? So what is the available? You are having a media, you want a wired network, wired communication, or radio communication, or some other communication. Then third question is, because you require all these things to design your product. What is the communication range, sir? Distance, sir? Is it 50 or 150 or whatever it may be? You please tell. What is the radio visibility required? What is the terrain you are going to operate? Whether it is line of sight, straight away radio visibility is there, or it will have undulation so that I have to plan from OTH or the horizon type of communication. That you should have an input. You should find out. And what is the mode of operation, sir? Only in the broadcast mode, only command speaks and other services, or it is only one way, or it is two way, or it is network, full duplex, whatever it may be. This mode of communication also you should ascertain, and you should also know that what is the type of information to be exchanged, sir. Whether it is voice, or data, or picture, or video, or any one or more of these things that you should tell, because that is going to decide the bandwidth point of view. Sir, what is the channel security required? Okay. What is the jamming margin? If we channel requires channel security, shall I go for a direct sequence? That will decide whether I should go for direct sequence, frequency hopping, or time hopping, or hybrid. That is CDMA or FDMA or LDMA. What is the type of access? Sir, what is the secrecy? What is the encryption standards you require? What is the tolerance of the frequency? You can use any frequency, HF or VHF, UHF, any restrictions, if any, like that, there's all you have to raise the questions and should probe into the operational requirement from the user itself and other environment also. And then see similar types of questions you have to ask your sponsors also, sir, what is the fund required, what is the time is required, and other parameters also you should going to take into consideration. Then you sit in your office saying that these people wanted, you have to develop the product specifications. So product specification is, so you wanted one communication, one receiver. So this is the basic block. Transmitter will be there, the receiver will be there, and medium will be there. Then coming to the operational mobility. So you offered all these things, that fellow will say, I need everything. So this operation should be static, mobile is static while in operation. Everything has to be taken care. They decide the media. No, he don't want line. He want only radio. So the media is decided now radio. What is the communication range? You ask him, no, not more than 50 kilometers. So you find the communication range also has 50 kilometers. I am taking one example. Radio visibility. Because you have not given a wire communication, the radio visibility also has to comes into picture. Whether the site is visible, the destination is visible radio-wise. So because it is visible, there is no undulations. You need to go for OTH, you can go for line of sight. Then mode of communication, okay, it is decided two-way. It is not a broadcast mode. So there is no +2 type of PTT type of switching arrangement involved. And what is the type of information? He says that, sir, voice. The moment you ask voice, you should take it as voice as the bandwidth of 3 kilohertz. And data means you should ask what is the type, what is the data rate. So voice, 3 kilohertz, voice, data. This is channel security. It is only simple communication. I say they don't require channel. That is nil. Secrecy, no, not required. I taken a easiest example. And tolerance and choices of frequency, no, HF means it will not be mobile. So you cannot go for HF. So you have to go for VHF only. Microwave means it cannot meet that range. Microwave will attenuate within a distance of 10 kilometers. So because of range, you have decided HF is more specific and heavy, and microwave is very will not meet the requirement. So you have gone for VHF. So these are all the product specifications you have derived meeting after consolidating the requirements taken or probing from the users. Now you come to the design. What are the design considerations? First of all, we require what is the signal power to be transmitted by the transmitter subsystem. What is the signal power received? So what is the type of path loss in the system figuring the free space? These are all the parameters are there. PT, PR, propagation loss. Then come to the point which you do not have much control. That is path loss calculation. Path loss calculation, you apply 2.4, 20 log D, 20 log F. So for the D, 50 kilometers is specification. What is the path loss? You calculate it works to 34 dB. Frequency, you have decided 100 megahertz. You take out that and you calculate the path loss. As far as the path loss is concerned, for this frequency, for this path loss, it is working out to be 106 dB. So you have a figure to starting design point. Now come to the receiver sensitivity. What is the receiver sensitivity? What is the minimum possible? You have a formula. So you take the white noise, and now you take the bandwidth. What is the bandwidth? Bandwidth you have taken at 100 kilohertz. Why you have taken 100 kilohertz? Because the maximum data rate possibly wanted is 19.2, and if you sample it, it is 2 times. To take care of the margin, you are taken more than twice. Okay, so the best possible is 100 kilohertz. If you take more, what will happen? Noise will increase. So 100 kilohertz is adequate, and it is required. You have taken 100 kilohertz. So maximum bandwidth. And similarly, noise figure. Noise figure of the receiver you have taken as a 10 dB. Okay. What is the signal to noise ratio? For the type of communication, you are going to provide a AM and all this thing. For that type of communication, you require a demodulated signal to noise ratio 13 dB. These are all available practical experience. These are all the inputs you do have and you have arrived at. So based on that, given that system figure 106 dBm, the receiver sensitivity should be all this each is working out to be 101. That is to be taken into account. Okay. So 101 dBm is the receiver sensitivity you have arrived at by adding the white noise, the bandwidth, वगैरह, and taking the system. So when the PRX and system figure is 106 dBm is the one input, and the receiver requires at minus 101 dBm. Then come to the product design specification. So what are the product design specifications you have calculated? The receiver sensitivity of the receiver should be greater than or equal to minus 101 dBm. And also considering the dynamic range. A receiver will have dynamic range, voice variation, signal variation. You take it as 60 dB. So the PR should be always add to the sensitivity, that will be minus 101 plus 60, that is minus 41 dB. So the product design specification, the product specification is 50 kilometers, whereas the product design specification for the receiver will be that the receiver power should be between minus 101 dBm and the minus 41 dBm, so that the signal will always lie in the dynamic range. So accordingly, you have to calculate the PT. So initially you have calculated the path loss, then you came to the next consideration under your control, the receiver sensitivity, then PT is under your control because you can transmit any power. But how you are going to design it? You go for the design option. Suppose if you have a 1 milliwatt transmitter means 0 dBm, system losses 106, whatever the frequency, at that frequency, the further range, the system losses remains same. So PR is 106. Because your receiver sensitivity is minus 101, it is inadequate. You take 2 megahertz, it is a power received will be, power received will be 103, it is also inadequate. 6 dBm, minus 100 dBm, it is inadequate. And above that, anything is adequate. So, you for 4 milliwatts, 6 dBm, it is just adequate. Then, from milliwatt straight away it move to, because I had to add another 1 watt, 2 watts, 3 watts up to 1 kilowatts, you are getting the range of 46. So, as long as this particular 100, 76, 66, these are all the dynamic range. So, this is just adequate and this is adequate with the dynamic range. Up to this you can go to. Okay, I am having a luxurious transmitter power. I can go for higher dBm also, 10 kilowatts means, no, it won't work. Because that will ride your receiver to the out of the dynamic range and the performance degradation will come. So your optimal transmitter is you are taken as a in between. That is 1 watt you have taken as a transmitter power. So with this you have finalized the specification. With this your product specification is over. That is you are having a transmitter which should have a frequency of 100 megahertz. Transmitter power output as 1 watt, and then again you take 0. Actually, you have to say that also. I have taken an easy example point of view. Transmitter also again is you say that lossless antenna. And medium is you are going to use a radio VHF, line of sight communication. And as far as the receiver is concerned, it should have a 100 megahertz as the frequency. A receiver antenna should have a 0 gain, that is lossless. Sensitivity is minus 101 dBm. Noise figure should be 100. Because all these parameters, any change in parameters will affect the other parameters. Bandwidth is 100 kilohertz, dynamic range is 60 dB, PDM or signal to noise ratio is 30 dB. Now your product specifications are right. So you started with the requirements derived based on your knowledge and your information, specification. Then you worked out the component level, then you gone to it, and you have arrived at the design specification. This is how you have to sail through the product design specifications from the requirement stage to the design specification case. So, I would like to conclude summarizing this, saying that customer requirements may not follow any rules or format. That is one important thing. We'll ask different people will ask different things. One customer asks, the other customer may contradict this. So that is one important thing you should keep in mind. Operational requirement, they specify the context or environment in which the product should operate. That is very important, operational requirements. And similarly, product requirements define what the product at different levels. Different levels means system levels to design and component level. They must actually do that product requirements. So they should define. And the requirements evolve as we go through the product development, right from the requirement capture through the design and development stages. Requirement traceability ensures that the final implementation is tightly coupled with the overall requirement. That is important. Requirement traceability you should have so that the final implementation is tightly coupled with the overall requirements of the product. That is true to all stages of the design and development and testing. Specifications, they can be descriptive specifications, performance-related specifications, and derived from a reference standard or could be, they can be proprietary also. So, when the product specifications specify the overall specifications of the product design specifications specify how the product has to be designed to meet these specifications. Performance issues related to quality requirements, size, weight, aesthetics, ergonomics, operator interface, safety and reliability in usage, and operation, maintenance, they have to be considered and will form part of the product design specifications. I have taken a simplest example because it is an IED form. I have taken the example of simple communication link so that it is easily understood by the students and all these things. But the same logic and same flow will work out for specifying anything, whether it is a software or hardware or a component or mechanical or whatever it may be. And even if it is for service also, your product or service also, you should have the same type of thought process in deriving these specifications. So I would like to conclude saying that the specifications need to be derived by extensively interacting with all the stakeholders. You should consider each and every step. Any advisor you should take into account and cognizance and examine them. The specification of a product should comprehensively include the type of quality of the product, requirements for fabrication. That also you should keep in this thing. Suppose it says that I want only this, you cannot use it. So suppose he wants a drug which is prohibited. No, you should not. You should say that no, I will apply for a sanction, get it. Then only you should commit. So you should understand whether the requirements are you will be able to meet for his level it is required or not, whether he can import it or not, or whether he can access that, whether that particular component he is suggesting is used permitted. In all these things you should consider in before accepting specification. Okay, user friendliness very has to be there. Otherwise, user will like and it will lose its life. And standards applicable for product safety, testability, and the requirements, they are all should be taken into account. And with this, I'm concluding my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your detailed explanation about this product development, etc. So definitely, I think our participants are getting more benefited. So request any questions from the participants, please. Any queries? Okay, sir. So now I request our EC member, Dr. V. Ramarao garu, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Namaskar. It's my pleasure to propose a vote of thanks.
All of you, please fill the feedback link to get the certificate.
Okay, am I audible?
There is one question, sir. Where is the standardization will come into flow diagram?
Pardon?
There is a question in chat box.
Ah.
Where the standardization will come in the flow diagram?
Standardization will come at every stage, not only the component, because the process is same at different levels, system level, subsystem levels, and all the things. Okay, standards also will depend at the different levels. For example, in the case of product component realization, process will come, and at the subsystem level, all audit standards will come. And depending on the product, in the initial requirement systems, they have to be defined. One is you define your own standards based on the requirements. Otherwise, the user will define the standards to be followed. Because you may be getting a product as a subsystem which is to be integrated into higher systems also. It is better to take the standards whatever is demanded by the customer. But when you are developing the product on your own, you should think of standardizing the process, meeting as many varieties of customers as possible. Suppose you develop communication equipment, it is better to consider all the standards for Navy, Army, and Air Force like that. So standardization comes at the component level, design level, subassembly level. The component is for the material or standard or what is the type of business also that has to be taken into account. Standardization comes everywhere. Everywhere in third person should be there.
Nice, sir. Nice.
Thank you.
Now request Ramarao garu, please propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Secretary Nulu Namaswai Garu. It's my privilege. It has been a very interesting lecture. Dr. P. Narasimharao Garu, retired senior scientist DRDO, he has spoken on a very interesting topic, new product specifications and innovators' perspective. Very innovative topic itself. The topic title itself seems very innovative because normally this kind of a topic is not anticipated in this series of lectures. It is a very innovative and new topic by itself. And he has, Dr. Narasimharao Garu has made it very clear to us about the topic. And right at the beginning, he classified the parameters into product specifications and innovator or design specifications. And from then on, he went on into a detailed explanation of the considerations that go into the product specifications as well as design specifications. And what is more heartening is the fact that he has taken a very concrete example for illustrating the topic. That is a simple communication link that may be required in military situations as well as in civil situations. And he went on with the help of this concrete example. He explained step by step how these specifications have to be formulated and refined, and finally the development of the product takes place. Very interesting lecture indeed, and there was good participation from the audiences also. Unfortunately, the audiences this time are somewhat less, only about 30. Perhaps the New Year hangover is still working on the audiences. Perhaps normally our audience otherwise used to reach a figure of 100, but this time it's a bit low. But nevertheless, the audience seems to be involved because we find there is a question also asked by one of the audiences, and for which Dr. Narasimharao Garu has explained in his answer. So thank you, Dr. Narasimharao Garu. And of course, I have to thank the chairman as well as the secretary of the center for their continued involvement and encouragement of this lecture series. In fact, it is they who conceived the lecture series, this weekly lecture series, which has become now a very unique selling point of the Hyderabad Center. And Hyderabad Center, incidentally, has won the Best Center Award too this time. And I hope in the in the new year also, this Best Center Award will continue in our favor. Thanks once again, everybody, all the audiences, and the speaker himself. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Once again, request all the participants to fill the feedback link to get the e-certificate. And expecting a good participation for the coming 2-day symposium, technical symposium, which is to be held physically on 7th and 8th. 7th at MES Engineering College, 8th at IETE, Hyderabad Center. Thank you so much.
Thank you.